everybody. Welcome to the Olympian Table, and we've got some breaking news that's coming in from a school shooting in Georgia. What's frightening about this is we're in the second week of the school year, and here we have our first school shooting, and that's pretty frightening if you think that we've got how many more weeks now? 8 weeks, 10 weeks till
first holiday break.
So this is pretty frightening. Guns in America are, we've really got to do something about this. I personally have changed my mind over the years about the Second Amendment, but I do think we need to have better gun controls for people buying guns, and I think there needs to be more punishments for adults that don't look after their guns, and so children can just take their guns. I just want to state before we get into this with Kay and get Kay's view that basically we do not know all the facts of this shooting at the moment. All we know is it's been in Georgia. It's at an area just outside Georgia, 50 miles outside Georgia. There's 2 dead at the moment and 4 injured, Kay.
Yes, 50 miles outside of Atlanta. But yeah.
So, but this is just very, it's just very sad to see this happening in schools. I had some fabulous memories of school. I was saying to Kay before we started the show that there was days when I hated my teachers and I hated some of the other kids at the school. I was bullied at school, but it didn't mean that, I would turn up with a knife or a gun. Not that guns are available in the UK. Well, I'm sure they are, but not through, the official
channels.
But I mean, basically knives are available, and kitchen knives, or not to say I'm going to the school and cut everybody up at the school. But I mean, it's very worrying that this is part of, or becoming part of American school life, where we teach our children how to hide under tables, in the event of a mass shooting. But anyway, I was watching an advert the other day about new inventions, and there was one invention where it was like a bolt that drives down the door into the floor in the event of a school shooting. This bolt goes down through the floor so you can't open the door.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was pretty ingenious, to be perfectly honest, but we've got to do something to stop this. What's your thoughts on this, Kay?
It's super sad and just really frustrating. I didn't even recognize the fact that, yeah, this is 2 weeks into the school year. I think for Texas, this is the first, the first week, realistically. So it's really bad. It's just, how I don't understand the emotional regulation of things. And then as far as gun control, have you ever been to a gun show, Stephen? Do you know what the gun show is?
I have not.
So I personally really like the gun show, but when you go to the gun show,
you can buy a gun without no check,
no ID. You don't need an ID. You don't need. I mean,
and that's the part that I think needs to be.
And it's every 6 weeks, I believe. They just travel. At least in Texas, they travel around all of the major cities in Texas, and you're just able to purchase whatever gun, whatever weapon you want.
Exchange guns.
You can exchange them.
Guns plus cash, whatever.
Yep.
Upgrade your gun.
So it's really, really frustrating because it's like.
And the thing that I was very disappointed with recently was from the Supreme Court when they kicked back the bump stocks. The bump stocks for the. So it's basically now you've got a semi-automatic gun and you can take it to a fully automatic.
Oh yeah, I remember talking about that.
Very disappointing. But while we're at it, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We do appreciate your support. But if you've got any comments on this, or you feel you've got anything to add to this particular topic, we'd love to hear from you. You know, obviously, as always, the only answer that, you know, most people say, oh, thoughts and prayers go to, you know, the people, but in my opinion, thoughts and prayers don't solve the situation and don't solve the problem deep down. I do believe that, you know, in some rural areas we need firearms. So in America, firearms will never go away. You know, we have an office in a very rural area. There's a lot of things that go on in the rural area, you know, out in the farmlands that, you know, especially like the Brazoria area, from, you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, you need firearms for, but I don't think an assault rifle or something like that is ever needed.
I think, you know, it's just registering your weapons. I mean, no one's gonna register all of their
Well,
weapons
I
if
told
they
you my
already have
story when
them.
I had a gun that was stolen from my car,
Mm-hmm.
and the policeman called me one day and said, "Mr. Williams, is your gun in your car?" And I said, "Yeah, it's in my car." He says, "Well, can you go to my car and get it?" So I travelled all the way home, looked in my car, and the gun wasn't there because I actually stored it what I thought was a secret place. And basically, I got the gun back about, it took me 5 years to get the gun back.
Right.
But, you know, the truth of the matter is, I mean, it's frightening because people are out there looking for guns.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're committing crimes, they're using somebody else's gun. Now, if he had shot and killed using that gun, would I have taken part of the blame? You know, I'll be honest with you, I, I think I should have done, because it was locked, it was loaded, it was ready to go, ready for, you know, if anything happened in my car, because road rage is a problem in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the truth of the matter is, I think if that, I think you should take full responsibility, but if anybody had used that, I should share responsibility at least.
Yeah, I mean, it was stolen from you though, because you can, even if you just had your gun, I mean, you can go to Academy and purchase bullets. You know, they used to sell them at Walmart, but they took them away. They took the purchase of guns out of Walmart. But yeah, but as far as the shooting, it looks like this was at 11 o'clock this morning. They had people airlifted off of campus. A couple people airlifted. Um, you know, they are still on lockdown, so they're telling parents they can't release most kids, you know, or in the surrounding area. Most schools are also on lockdown, so the parents can't even get their kids out of school, you know, while it's
And
on
how worried would
lockdown.
you be as a parent now?
Yeah, right. And you can't even get them, you know,
And they
out.
won't release the name of the children that are killed or injured
Yeah,
until all the families have been notified.
yeah. So,
So how worrying is that? I just think it's very sad. I mean, I just think it's I just think Americans need to step up. Well, sorry, let me repeat that. All of us Americans, I am an American, need to step up, and you know, we need to be able to work through this together.
yeah,
And that's a big thing I think that's coming up at the election. I think it's time for everybody to get together and less of this, you know, divisiveness, you know. And I really think that, you know, I don't think this is something that should be political, but I think it is political, because when you've got the NRA pushing money through to, you know, a lot of the Republicans, and then I do think that I think Harris Waltz has a plan. You know, she said that she's going to do something about the situation, and I think it needs to be done. You know, something needs to be done, and I think we all need to work through to get it. You know, together. I do think, from a sporting point of view, um, Do you think guns should be sold at
Academy.
academy?
Um, what are the
Because
guns?
academy is a sporting school.
Yeah, so I think it's
So to me,
fine.
it's okay.
Yeah. I think it's good they took it out of Walmart, because they took the rifles
Right.
out of
I
Walmart.
think I would be okay or feel better if things were sold at gun stores
Yeah,
and just at gun stores.
I think Academy is okay. I just think that, there needs to be more regulation on the gun show just because, there was a video of actually, he was, I think 16 or 17. There was a 16 or 17-year-old kid who went and he legitimately went around to the gun show to see how easy it was to purchase a gun. And they didn't card him or anything. They were just like, oh, you want a gun? Here's your gun. You got $200. Here's a pistol.
The answer
It
to
doesn't
it
matter.
all is people need to have their background checks, whether it be at a gun show or
Yeah.
and I think it would make everybody feel a little bit better anyway. So
I definitely feel bad for the parents. And one of the students even said, he said that he heard knocking on the door, and I think the kid that was perpetrating the shooting was attempting to sound like a police officer, and they were saying open up, and then they didn't open the door, obviously, and then after, um they said that they heard more shooting and screaming. So yeah, they don't know if it was someone trying to get help, but they couldn't open the door, and you know that is
and also how
scary.
terrifying is this for the teachers?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure the teachers, they take it very personal looking after their students.
Yeah.
I'll say that as a coach, you have a level of, you want to feel that your students, have safety and basic protections.
Right. So I feel really, I'm nervous. Yeah, I'm nervous for the kids. I'm nervous for the state of the economy. Because, like we said, this being so early in the school year is pretty absurd because it's like, what set him off? You haven't even, him or her, you haven't even had a second.
It's done a week or two of school.
Yeah, you like, what was the thing that made you kind of angry and go go kind of insane like that? So, and it's one of those things too where I don't know. It's very similar to, remember the video that we saw of that student body slamming the teacher because um she took away his Nintendo Switch, and the student was like 6'7", and he was in special ed, but he picked her up and body slammed her, and put her in the hospital and things like that. So it's like, I think, uh, outside of course, kids, needing to do things, like we have to get these kids back outside. We have to get these kids stimulated, because that's also a big problem, is that they're not stimulated, so they're just doing anything.
All they're doing is just playing games, and they're not out there, getting a bit of fresh air.
Yeah, they're not. There's nothing there's nothing that they enjoy besides looking at social media.
They're losing social skills.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. They can't handle being told what to do and things like that. So exactly what you said.
And the problem is sort of moving on with social media is you can say what you want without no repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, kickback. I mean, try and say that in a playground, you might get slapped in the face.
Right. They started taking social media very seriously, like different threats and things like that. So if you make a threat about, saying you're gonna shoot up something or whatever on social media, they're actually they're taking it very, very seriously, which is great. So now the police will kind of respond and try to reach out to you and talk to you. So that's good, but it's sad that it's come to that point. But yeah. So as far as that, we hope that the parents can get to their kids as soon as possible, and we hope that the kids find a way to stay safe. So yeah.
Well, I guess time to move on to our next topic. What would you like to talk about, Kay?
So we have what the a new era of easy money dawns as the Fed nears first rate cut since 2020. So the state of
So
our
yeah.
economics.
So basically, what's happened here is, there's been an era of um, putting interest rates up. So the idea is that it will help stop spending. Well, basically, what's happened now the Federal Reserve come to the end of that saying, well, we're getting to where we feel that it's getting more comfortable to start, cutting the interest rates for the first time in 4 years. So they're now talking about basically reducing the interest rate between 5.25% and 5.5%. If they do that, I do think it will. Stimulate the economy. You know, but one of the things that I wanted to sort of talk about is we all talk about the interest rate. The interest rate is basically um, Wall Street.
Mhm.
But I think what basically happens is, and if we can talk about this next, Kay, because I think they're both sort of interrelated. Can you talk about the merger between Kroger? There, there was a merger that was planned between Kroger and Albertsons, and the FTC basically said that this was they're stopping it because of antitrust enforcers. I do think this is a problem with a lot of companies now, because what happens is, and I think this is another problem in housing, to be perfectly honest, when you get a company that controls the market, that one company will control your pricing. So if you've got Kroger's, say you've got a Kroger and you've got an Albertsons in one area, what do you think the first thing you do?
They're gonna
You
go,
cut
everything's
jobs.
gonna be, yeah.
You're going to cut jobs, and then at the same time, you might decide to close one of them stores down.
Hmm.
And so, I really am glad this is happening, and I think it needs to happen more. I think, one of the things we are a capitalist society, and I think when you get two stores like this trying to buy one another out, I think it's working against the the natural things of capitalism, the way that the natural mechanics of capitalism. I feel that, capitalism should be, I think that the strength of capitalism should be the middle class. The strength of capitalism, that, um, all middle class people should be thriving to work our way up from, as low as you can get through middle class and all the way up, to as high as we can get. But at the same time, I think, the mechanics of it are, you get these companies, and what they do is, all they're doing is merging so they can control your market. There is one company in Houston for rents, and what they basically do is they own about 2,300 properties, and what they're doing is they're putting their rent up each year by about $150, $200 a year, which is more than what people's wages are going up. And it's just making it more and more difficult. And that's one of the reasons why, I personally, even being a real estate agent, I would like to see a rule going where you can do rent increases basically between 3 and 5% a year.
Yeah, that's what in California they have a rent increase cap. You're not
Now,
allowed to.
if you don't increase for 2 years,
Yeah.
then you can still take the rent. You can understand you can backdate the rent increase. That's what I think it should be, because there's one of my properties that I lease. Last year I was leasing think for 1925, but the family have gone through a hard time. He's changed his jobs. I've even seen his pay stubs. Well, I reduced his rent. You know, why did I do it? Because I wanted him to stay there. He's a good tenant. He looks after my property. And, you know, I was trying to help him. And he's told me that, you know, he'll stay there for another year. Because each time a tenant moves out, it costs you money to fix it up.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, I think we've got to start splitting up some of these companies. We've got to stop. It's individual people that should be buying these houses. You know, there's a lot of people now. If somebody goes into an area, if a corporation goes into an area and buys, say, 25%, 30% of the houses in an area, they can push up the prices of them houses.
Yeah. I'm reading this and it says that this is the largest grocery store deal, the largest proposed grocery merger and
in US
ever.
history.
Yeah, and they said $20 billion. But the thing that I thought was interesting was that they said that they would plan, if the merger went through, that they would lower the prices by $1 billion. Kroger said that it would lower their prices by $1 billion. But then they also said that the FTC says that Kroger would have the ability to raise prices in many markets if the merger goes through, which is, of course, that's more than likely what's going to happen.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. And then they said the company says that it needs to scale because they have to compete against the swarm with Walmart and a swarm of newer food retailers like Trader Joe's and discount chains such as Aldi and Lidl and club stores such as Costco.
Who was talking about Little, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And well, let me tell you what my answer to this is. All right.
It's like,
if Kroger are buying Albertsons, do you know Kroger? Go open up a new Kroger.
you can, yeah.
Go open up a new Kroger.
Like,
because then they're producing more competition. But by doing this, they're not producing more competition.
they're taking away.
Go and open a brand new Kroger, and that way we'll get more jobs.
And I think that it's very strange because, you know, I grew up in California, so Albertsons was the store that we had, but then they started closing down.
It used to be, is it?
Yeah, they started closing down. So it's really interesting that they would try to do this, but for them to say that they are trying to compete with discount change, but they're discount chains. Aldi is not, you know, Aldi is for people who are having, you know, a hard time. Realistically, HEB is probably their biggest competition, at least here in Houston, you know. Same thing.
I think HEB is a very, very strong brand in Houston, even in Texas. Because,
in Texas, all over.
You know, because it's originally based from San Antonio, Austin, around there.
San Antonio.
You know, we're in HEB almost every week, you know.
It's a great story.
You know, and it really is a good store, good products, good selection. They've always got the products that you want. Everything's
very fresh.
You know, it really is good quality.
Yeah.
You know, and I said to you, you know, before the market, me and my wife, we went for a pedicure on Sunday. All right, and then we went across the way, and we went to Randall's. All right, which I haven't been in for years. That was our first store because we lived in that area, and I enjoyed going around Randall's. I love Randall's. It's a little bit more, you know, but some of the prices were actually a lot lower. But I just it's a different market.
Yeah, it's a fancier.
It's a completely different market.
It feels like you're, you know, taking a nice little stroll. You know how the difference between Walmart and Target, like everybody at Walmart's wearing like sweatpants and stuff like that, and then you go to Target and everybody's all dressed up. You get your little Starbucks coffee while you walk around Target. It's very the same as like Randall's.
Exactly
Randall's is Target.
Randall's has got Starbucks. what I honestly like about Randall's is they have a wine cellar.
That's cool.
And they sell a lot of European wines. So That's why.
Yeah, but the merger, the merger between Costco and Albertsons is very funny to me because I'm reading this and it says, of course they have to testify next week, but the defense lawyers are also expected to call their own expert witnesses to refute the FTC's claim that Kroger and Albertsons are each other's major competitors and that combining them would cause consumers to pay more. And that is what the main thing is that they're each other's major competitors. So like you said, if you merge them, they're not going to have the same competition.
Against everybody that way.
Yeah. It's like food hoarding, it's hoarding, how people were doing with toilet paper. They would go to Costco, Safeway, or whatever, Sam's Club, I mean, and they would purchase all the toilet paper and then they'd resell them on Amazon with like 150% markup during the beginning times of COVID. That's what they were doing. So it's just like that.
And you mentioned about inflation.
Mm-hmm.
I really think what happens is corporations price gouge people.
Exactly.
Because what they're more worried about is one time America was all about customer satisfaction. It's not about that anymore. It's about shareholder satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that's why your prices are going up in your inflation, is because all these companies trying to get people to invest, and the money is going to the shareholders.
Yeah, and it makes it so hard because, the American dream that everyone was, getting hit with is that people want to come to America to start businesses. You're more than likely going to be a little bit more successful, having your own business in America than other countries. But now you get here and it's like you might as well go back to, the Philippines or go back to wherever you are from because you'll have a successful business there. Obviously, it's not going to be as hygienic, but it's.
Do you know, Karen, my wife, she came over here when the Vietnamese War was on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Vietnamese people that are now going back to Vietnam because Vietnam is one of the richest Southeast Asian countries,
mm-hmm.
and they're going back.
Yeah.
And they're going back as millionaires because the money that they got over here has more value in Vietnam.
Exactly. So, I mean.
And there's a company called VinFast,
mm-hmm.
and it's a Vietnamese car manufacturing company, and it's electric,
mm-hmm.
and they've started to make them over here.
Yeah, so
I think they make them in Tennessee or Kentucky or something.
That's exactly what's happening. It's like it seems like it's getting harder for the small business owner or the up and coming business owner these days. So I don't agree with this merger. I hope that the FTC can actually stop it. It's only the second week of their trial, but I hope that they, deem it, not, I hope it just doesn't go through because that's ridiculous. I don't shop at Kroger or, I get the sushi at Kroger because they have really good grocery store sushi as far as sushi goes. But other than that,
I get the sushi from HEB.
It's great, yeah. But other than that, there's no point in doing that. It's ridiculous, honestly. So it's just a hard thing. But we have, speaking of small businesses, we can talk about this poor bakery owner.
Let's talk about this. Okay, go on.
No, you can go.
You tell everybody the story about this. I'm going to say one more time. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And also post your comments in the chat about this. Go on, you introduce this.
No, it says
because you're from LA, so you take part of the blame.
I didn't do anything. LA bakery owner takes a big financial hit after receiving a scam order of over 1,000 cupcakes paid for with a $7.5 thousand counterfeit check. Her bank's promise of protection fell through, which sucks. So whose fault do you, before we go into the story, whose fault do y'all think it is? And whose, do you think it's her fault or the bank's? Obviously, it's the person who wrote the counterfeit check, but her fault or the bank's? Steven, what do you think?
Well,
Just without reading the story, who would you say, just reading the headline?
well, no, there's one part you need to read. My bank said you'll be protected here, especially if you have an invoice and you know all the emails going back and forth. Stern told ABC7. Once the funds cleared, Stern bought the supplies and started baking. But then the supposed customers said they wanted to cut the order in half and asked for half the money back. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is the sign of a scam.
Yeah, because
that's what scammers do. They put more money into the account, then they want you to give them half of the money back,
and then by the time that the check actually fully clears, quote unquote, you realize that it's not cleared, and then you're out the entire $7,000, that you sent. So, and I actually wanted to talk about that too, because after we kind of go through this, there's a big Chase Bank scam that's going on. But
well,
as far as her,
I've gone as far as her. Let's finish with her.
So who do you think? So you would say the bank, obviously.
Obviously. No, not really. I think
her not knowing.
I think that both
Okay, equally.
Because she made the ultimate decision to start baking the cakes. Now I guess she could have bought the stuff if you wanted, you with me? But she started baking the cakes.
Right.
But at the same time, I do think the bank should refund her the money, because if it doesn't say whether she actually received the emails, did she?
Yeah, so they have the emails going back and forth, so they saw them.
Well, in that case, the bank should refund.
Yeah. I think that for an order that large.
Let me give you an example. We get people call us up and say they want to buy different properties, all right, and they'll send us a proof of funds, all right, and they're very much normally internationally, but we always verify the funds, you know. We always want to speak to somebody, or run it by a title company. Not that it's worthwhile doing that with cupcakes.
But I mean, yeah, I feel like if I received a check that large or an order that large, you can't give me a check. You have to at least put half down in some type of direct bank transfer. I'm not taking a check from that. That's ridiculous.
Do you know the latest scam I think's out there at the moment? People calling up and saying that I can register my company for voice activation on Alexa and all the other things out there, and that I can register. So somebody says, I want a real estate company, in Houston, my name comes up.
Yeah.
Because we've received one of them calls literally, a number of times.
Yeah, it's been happening because of AI. So once they get your voice, through to say certain things with AI, they can call your bank and say, I'm Stephen Williams, I want to change my bank password to this. I want to change my address. You just don't give them any information. Whenever I get a phone call, I don't know the number, what I do is I don't say anything. And if they start talking first, then I hang up. Because typically, or if they don't say like, hello, because it's like, if I'm calling somebody, usually they'll answer first. But I just won't say anything if I don't know the phone number. But what they do is they're like, Stephen Williams, and they're like, oh, can you just verify the name of your company? And then you verify the name of the company and things like that, and verify the address. And then they call, and once you do that,
right. And that's what happened this morning. One of them, they actually asked me my name.
Yeah.
And that was, to me, was a warning sign.
They'll say, "Can you verify your name?" Like, you called me.
And then he turned around and says, "Oh," I abruptly said, "What do you want?" and he said, "Well, we've got a service now where we can help you activate Alexa for everybody in your area." And I said, "I can't understand what you're saying. What are you selling? Water service?" I was just playing along with them,
Yeah.
And this whole thing with the scamming is making it harder for people that make their living by real,
work.
telemarketing.
Yeah, it makes it really hard. So, but it says, the bank said, "Oh, it's been cited as a counterfeit check. Essentially, what the scammer did is they stole another company's checkbook and wrote checks out to different vendors. In addition to the financial impact, the scam left Stern feeling disheartened that someone would try and scam small businesses, and that is something that has, that's what's frustrating. That's what really sucks, is because it's a very, very small business. But I have this video for you, Stephen, if you want to click it, and I want you to watch it, and we'll watch along with you.
Which one?
The last one that I just put. Just scroll all the way down. The Chase Bank fraud.
Going on. So I was just scrolling on TikTok, minding my own business, and I stumbled on maybe the wildest story of the summer. Bro, people claiming they're cashing out big time from a Chase Bank glitch. I mean, we're talking 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, even some people claiming on TikTok. Bro, they cashed out $1 million, bro. $1 million!
Yo, I want to hit that Chase place so bad right now, bro. I'm seeing people, my close friends, going up 20, 30K, running it up on Chase. I see somebody just hit 90K on Twitter, but I just know if I hit that play, God gonna use me to be the example. I just know he is, so let me just go ahead and praise him. I'm gonna stay out the way.
And this had me thinking about, that Cash App glitch that happened like a while ago. People were making bank off of Cash App, spending money on everything from DoorDash to stuff on Amazon.
So, you just saw that.
What is going on?
So, Chase Bank is it's not a glitch, okay? But people on TikTok don't understand the world. They don't understand how the world works because they're freaking idiots. So, just a quick side note. An app called Cash App. We all know Cash App, you can send money to whoever. But Cash App for about a month had a glitch to where even if you didn't have the money in your account, you could take out, up to like $1,000, like if you wanted to send it to someone, right? However, after a while, they realized like, hey, well, what's going on? So then people's accounts would be in the negative. People are doing the exact same thing with Chase, but this is just check fraud. They're just committing check fraud because it's essentially exactly what happened to this woman. The funds went through because of your standing with the bank. The funds went through, but after, I think, 7 to 10 days, that's when the money actually completely clears, right? And that's when they realize, oh, this is a real check. Oh, it's not a real check, right? So what people are doing is they're writing checks to their friends, or, they're getting their own checks and writing checks, to essentially themselves. And then they're like, okay, $20,000, $30,000. It's not in their bank account, but when you put a check through, they'll either give you the full amount or they'll give you,
Partial.
a partial amount. So people are writing themselves, $10, $20, $30,000 checks, and it's going through partially. And they're like, oh, I'm rich. There's lines out of the Chase out of Chase Bank right now because people are doing that. And they're usually doing it not through the teller, but through, because you can cash a check at the ATM.
Right, the ATM.
And so that's what they're doing. And then they're realizing now their accounts are $40,000-$50,000 in the negative because of it. But
They've had the money in the first place.
no, they didn't have the money. That's what I'm saying. They don't, because when you write a check through, it's exactly what just happened to this woman. It was a counterfeit check. So when they write the check, the money, you say I write you a check for $10,000. I don't have $10,000 in my bank account, but Chase is going to push it through because, you know, it's not like your bank. You have a really good bank, but Chase is, you know, the everyman's bank. So they might give you $3,000 out of it. And it's like, oh, okay, you know, but, and then they'll wait for the 7 to 10 days to give you the rest for it to clear. But now you're $3,000 richer. And then it's like,
So they wasn't writing checks to themselves.
I mean, to different accounts. Like they would open different accounts and they would write it from a different account to themselves, or they'd write it to their friends. And they, you know, they'd be $3,000 richer because, you know, your checking account, you know, you have different checking accounts. It's only coming out of a certain checking account. So, because Chase has it to where for me, I had a college checking account. So my checking account was technically under my mom's name, but it was also my account because it was a college checking account. Yeah, so that's what they were doing. So if you wrote your daughter a check for $5,000, you know, maybe 1,000 would go through. But now they're realizing that there are negative thousands of dollars in their bank accounts because they're committing check fraud. But it's TikTok. So they're learning this off of TikTok, and you know, everybody on TikTok's 18 years old, 20 years old, and they don't understand that. So that's what's going on right now, is that they're just, everybody's committing check fraud, and they're like, it's a glitch.
We used to bank with Chase, but I don't now. I refuse to. So.
Yeah, me too. I remember what happened to me. Someone stole money out of my Chase account. But
We had a similar situation.
They're calling it an infinite money glitch, which is not, it's not a money glitch. You're committing check fraud and you're going to go to jail.
Do you know
or you're ruining your credit.
Banks in the US?
Wells Fargo and Chase. Yeah.
And they're both as shitty as well.
They're awful. So it's just, when I saw this and people started calling it an infinite money glitch, I was like, okay, you guys are everybody's going to jail, I guess. But that's what's happening. That's what happens to scam businesses, and that's what's happening to people who are looking for employment as well. So someone who's looking for employment, and typically like remote employment, they'll say, oh, here's a check for $4,000 for you to purchase the equipment off of this site, you know, and put this into your bank account. It's a fraudulent check. So, you know, you're losing money. It just doesn't make any sense, but it's something that's been going on quite a bit, and it's crazy. So I think people should just realize that if it comes easy, it'll get taken away just as fast. So, but yeah. So I just want to talk about that. And since we're on the topic of banks, we can talk about the office worker as well.
We're talking about our two favorite banks.
Wells Fargo now.
So ask me the question.
So what happened,
If
Stephen?
I'm in my office, how long if one of my agents unexpectedly died, how long would I expect to find them in before I found out that they unexpectedly died in my office?
In the office?
I reckon maybe 8 hours,
yeah.
because you got cleaners going in, you've got we've got people going in and out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Wells Fargo hold the record. Office worker dead for 4 days at cubicle before being discovered. How sad for the family.
Right. How out of touch are you with your employees that, you know, you didn't realize that? And how crazy is it that the other employees also did not,
You're
recognize
scanning
that?
for work.
Right.
Nobody realised that they didn't clock out.
Exactly.
Well, they clocked out, but not through the machine.
Which is, that's crazy. That is, like, that's the only way that you can describe that. That is absurd. Like, you can't convince me that that's just a normal thing. 4 days.
It was over the weekend by the looks of it, because she scanned in at 7 a.m. on Friday, 16th. And there was no indication that she scanned out. Of course, there wasn't no indication. And then she basically, I guess they found her on Monday. That's really how it comes to the 4 days.
Yeah, but I mean, no one was checking her time
But
if she didn't work.
Here's the deal with office buildings. They normally empty the trash or clean the floors or
On
do
Friday.
something. No, every night.
True.
All right, is when they normally do it. Now, some office buildings, they won't do it on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
in all fairness, but they'll do it Saturday. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the weekend. They'll do it maybe Saturday because there's less people around. If it's a busy office, which this looks like it is, and it's a huge office, they will do Sunday as well.
Yeah. This is, well, she was found on Tuesday. So it was August 16th that she was in there, and she was found on Tuesday. So they had the Monday to, find her. So that's the thing that's really confusing is how, what do you mean?
Perhaps she didn't get on with the work staff.
That's the only thing that I can think of. She had to have not been friendly with other people.
Or she gets herself to herself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say anything nasty about, dead people.
Yeah, but man, because I mean, you might get a pass if it was this Labor Day weekend, but if, you're not, and to only be discovered because of the smell is so heartbreaking too. No one checked in on her cubicle to like speak to her or anything like that.
There's a moral to this story. All right? Regardless who your neighbours are, it costs you nothing to go check on them and make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Regardless your political views, regardless, it's nothing to sort of, give people a smile and see how they do.
Mm-hmm. And then someone said, one of the employees said, it's really heartbreaking. And I'm thinking, what if I were just sitting there? No one would check on me. And that's the thing. Like you said, you have to, just walk. Even if you just walk around, just say hello. So I think that it's absurd that they're saying we are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of our colleague at our Tempe office. Our thoughts and prayers are with their family and loved ones during this difficult time. You can't be deeply saddened if you did not check on her, and the only reason that you checked on her is because people complained about a smell. That's not you're deeply saddened because of the situation that you're in now.
Absolutely.
It's like,
it's just, it is sad.
It is horrifically sad, but it's not because, you care about her. It's just now you have so much explaining to do. That means, say she wasn't deceased. She was just collecting all of that money all of the time, just by scanning, in, and say she just didn't clock out for the weekend. No one would notice that her check was, a couple $100 more.
She's probably salaried, that's why.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too.
Okay.
But that's all. That's all we have. Yeah.
So to everybody, from Stephen Williams and Kay Johnson, we'd like to say thank you for tuning into the Olympian Table. Please, please, please like, subscribe, and turn notifications. We'd love to hear from you on any of the topics that we've spoken about today. Please comment. There's a lot to comment on there today. So we look forward to hearing from you. And if you're interested in real estate, we have got the Texas Real Estate Show tomorrow. So we look forward to seeing you. So bye for now. Ta-da. Ta-da. And from Kay.